Hello and welcome to the fragrant world of Melanie Jane. Today I am going to show you how to make a soothing and toning body butter using just 4 ingredients. This was such a winning recipe when I was selling this down at the market at Arte, and people would queue up for it. And I've even had customers asking me to go and give them private sessions and private group sessions showing them how to make this lavender body butter because they're just so in love with it. It's wonderfully soothing. It's great to put on at night time on your chest and your shoulders, and I actually get my husband to rub it into my feet at night time so that I can sleep really well. He gives me a nice foot massage and then I put some socks on, so it's really great. But the grapefruit oil as well is amazing, and it's actually toning, and recent studies have actually shown that grapefruit and regular abdominal massages with grapefruit essential oil actually reduces the belly fat in middle-aged women. Anyway, I'm not quite middle-aged yet, so when I get there, perhaps I'll start using it. Anyway, I'm going to add now just some shea butter. Now, I want to tell you something about shea butter. Now, you've seen me melting the cocoa butter, and cocoa butter, when you're melting it, it's a lot easier to work with. Now, shea butter, this is unrefined, it's raw, it's unrefined, it's from a women's co-op in Ghana. So you can ensure that, you know, when you're buying it from places like this, that the women that are actually making this wonderful product, that they're getting all of the money and all of the profits from it as well. So that's really important to find, but always go for unrefined and raw. And it has this yellow color and it smells quite nutty. You can see it smells quite nutty. Now what you'll get is you'll get a refined shea butter and it's white. Don't use it. Don't waste your money on refined shea butter. It doesn't have the same emollient properties. I actually did once use it with a client and she was just like, oh my God, I don't like it at all. Stop using it. So it was an experiment when I ran out of this. So I'm going to show you, this is raw unrefined shea butter, and I'm going to add some coconut oil, and this is not fractionated, so this is just raw coconut oil. It's one I buy from the supermarket. It's a Parachute brand. It's not organic. You don't need to go really organic with coconut oil. And I'm going to put 115 grams of this. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put it on my scales first, and then I'm going to turn on the scales. And that way, as soon as you put the scales on, it's going to come up automatically to 0. Then I'm going to add the cocoa oil, and it's 115 grams. And you can be a bit heavy-handed in the beginning, so it's going up 50, 60, 70, 80, and it gives it a lovely. Actually, what happens as well with the coconut oil, because it's got that lovely sweet fragrance, it's actually then working in harmony with the shea butter, because you don't want, unless you just want raw shea butter and you like that earthy smell, but a lot of people don't actually like it. There you go. And then when you get to the end, because as I said before, it's really important to be accurate. But then you can always, at the end of this, add a little bit more coconut oil if you wanted to. So that's 115 grams. I'm nearly there. Perfect. So that's that. That's my coconut oil. And now what I'm going to do is, I'm not going to add the essential oils first. I'm actually going to whisk this, because remember, essential oils are volatile and I don't want them to evaporate into the air quite quickly with the whisking motion, because this takes quite some time to do it. These are actually neat oils. I've got these in a bottle like this because I want to show you something. I don't think you should ever smell an oil like this straight from the bottle. It's going to be really too strong. So you need to get these paper strips. Now you can buy fragrance strips, but what you can also buy, they're quite expensive. So what you can buy is you can go to supermarkets like Carrefour or art shops, and you can buy like a sketch pad, and it's glueless paper, and you can actually cut it up into strips. And I think you can pay like a couple of dollars or 7 dirhams for a pad of this paper. And then you can smell it off the strip. Yeah, rather than smelling it straight from the bottle, because you're going to be getting too much of a dose of it, and we don't want to do that, and especially if we're working with lavender, because it's quite a sedative oil. We don't want to be falling asleep while we're making this, because we're working with electrics, right? So now I am going to show you how to whisk it, and it's really easy. Sometimes it gets a little bit messy, and sometimes when I do it at home, I get like splatters of butter all over the wall, but that's okay. You can wear a pinny if you want to, but I'm wearing a really pretty dress, so I don't want to wear a pinny. So, can you see how soft this shea butter is? So I'm whisking this now, and can you see how quite quickly it's turning into this beautiful paste. Now I'm going to tell you very quickly about shea butter. When we're heating cocoa butter, it's easier to work with. I think I was just telling you about it earlier. But when you want to heat, a lot of people melt shea butter on a double boiler. And when they do, it's quite difficult to work with. If you melt shea butter in a double boiler and you just wait until it's melted, and then that's it, you start using it and put it into a body butter or something like that, then what's going to happen is that the shea butter goes grainy. So what you have to do is you have to melt it on a low heat for at least 20 minutes. I do it for about 30 minutes and keep it heated like that for about 30 minutes, and that actually stops it. When it solidifies, it stops it from going grainy. Now I'm going to add a lot of lavender oil in here. This is actually going to be 8 milliliters, but we've got a very big bowl. And my rule of thumb for diluting and putting essential oils into a product is around 1 to 5 drops, depending on the actual product, per 1 teaspoon. So that was 3 mils. And we're just using this pipette here. And that's 6. And then we're just going to do 2 more. I love these plastic pipettes. They're not very expensive at all. I think I pay about 25 dirhams for 500 of these. And I get them from a medical supply shop. I can put the link below where I get mine from in Dubai if you wish to purchase that as well. And then of course we've got the toning grapefruit. I have a customer, when I used to sell this down at Arte, I have a customer and she has a 74. That's something you don't do. So anyway, sorry Heather, this is her table. I promise I will not turn the whisk on again, but let's talk about the grapefruit. Now with the grapefruit, it's very good for toning. It's a stimulating oil, but it helps with water retention as well. So if you're perhaps breastfeeding and you have engorged breasts or something like that, you know, you can actually use grapefruit to help with the swelling. It helps with water retention, but it helps with toning. And I have one customer, we're just going to put 3 mils of this in. So that was 3 mils. I'll just put another couple of drops. There we go. So that's 3 mils of grapefruit. Now, I had this customer, but I'm going to tell you this quick snippet before I put the whisk back on, but you kind of get the gist of how we're making this. I have one customer, and she has a mother-in-law who's 74 years old, and she lives in Switzerland, and she takes this to her, this body butter when I used to sell it, and she would give it to her mother-in-law, and I swear to God, she said she was so amazed with it because she was using it on her bingo wings here. I've got really big bingo wings, and she was using it on her bingo wings here. And she said that in a few weeks, it really, really toned up her skin, and that's at 74 years old. So that's amazing. So I'm going to carry on whisking now. It's a bit noisy, but look at this, absolutely. And that's it. That's all you need to do. I'm going to attempt to put this in now. If I just get a spoon, and then I'm going to be able to put this in a little pot like this. So I can have this pot, or I can have another pot here. But what you can do is, I have a little spoon here. It's not ideal, but you get the gist. And you can put it in here like this. There we go. So I'm going to put that in there. So it's a lot better, but can you see? Oh my God, I'm just going to stick that in there a second, and I'm just going to rub a bit on my arm. It's gorgeous. It's absolutely just, it's beautiful and it smells amazing. Now, one of the dangers of working with essential oils, and when you're working with grapefruit, because it's got shea butter, that's got a distinctive, because coconut oil has quite a distinctive smell, the tendency will be to kind of try and overpower it, you know, with lavender and with grapefruit oil. And what happens is that there's a term called olfactory fatigue, that when you've been smelling something for so long, it's like when people wear perfume and they're like, oh God, I put my perfume on 10 minutes ago and I can't smell it anymore. You can, it's still there. It's just that your brain is a very, very clever thing. It has a very clever mechanism because it needs to detect things that might be potentially harmful to you. So your brain has already said, well, this is a new smell, it's fine, it's not hurting me, so I'm going to switch off from that smell now and open myself up to perhaps having other smells. So it's called olfactory fatigue. And when you're working with something, especially if you're whisking and whisking, the tendency will to be, oh, it's not that lavender, I'm going to put more in. Trust me, you've got enough in with this recipe that I've given you. And what you'll do is once you've made it, you will be able to put it in the fridge perhaps if you wanted it to go a little bit harder, if you live in a very hot country. But look at this, absolutely gorgeous consistency. It's whippy, dippy, it's like ice cream, except you can't eat it, although I did have one child that actually came up to my stall once and stuck his finger in it and put it in his mouth. And of course his gag reflex kicked in because, you know, it's not edible. So yeah, there it is. How absolutely gorgeous is that? And I love doing like these little trees on it. So it's like being in the Alps or something, you know, with like, you know, the ski slopes or something like that. It's just absolutely beautiful. I really, really love this shea butter. The consistency is absolutely dreamy. I wanted to tell you something though about shea butter. A lot of people, I have customers that actually use this and they put it all over their face. It's a great thing to actually do that if you want a really good night treatment. And a lot of people are scared of shea butter because it's really thick and the consistency is really thick. So the tendency to think about it is, oh my gosh, it's going to clog my pores, I'm going to get spots, I'm not going to use it. It does not clog your pores, trust me. I use it at night time and I actually use just a little blob of this in my hand and I put a few drops of my face oil and I rub it all over and I get this beautiful, I wake up with beautiful, like radiant and nourished skin as well, because you know in the Middle East we all have AC and it dries out your skin in the middle of the night. So this is a beautiful thing. So you can put it on your face and your body, you know, or get your partner to just rub it on your feet at night time so you can sleep soundly. So that's it, my soothing and toning lavender and grapefruit body butter with just 4 ingredients. It takes just 5 minutes to make. You're welcome.